for violating the league's personal conduct policy. Winston allegedly groped a female Uber driver back in 2016. Now, he's denied the accusation, and he can appeal it when the suspension becomes official. Shannon, what is your reaction?
I'm disappointed, Skip. Not only am I disappointed, it's sad. I'm disappointed that Jameis Winston would allow himself to be in this situation again, considering just 4 years ago at Florida State, he could have lost a lot more than his eligibility. He could have lost his freedom. So, okay, you get a reprieve. The prosecutor says there's not enough evidence that he say, she said. Okay, boom.
No charges.
No charges.
Yep. Civil suit.
Civil
filed,
suit.
And they settled.
They settled.
Yep.
So you think, boy, whoo.
Yep.
God, you got me out of this situation. I promise you, and a few more gods just like you, I'll never put myself back in that position. And here we are. 2 years later, Skip. You know, Skip, when this happened, and then all of a sudden you had the situation where him taking the crab legs at the supermarket.
There were a whole bunch of those situations.
And a lot of people was trying to make a jump between alleged sexual assault and stealing crab legs. And I'm like, nah, bro, I can't get there now. I'm not saying he did or he didn't do, but I can't get from assault to stealing crab legs.
I'm with you, but there were other incidents, just real quick.
With the BB gun,
stealing
at Burger King.
$4,200 worth of damage to the apartment building with BB guns,
yes.
And then he allegedly stole soda from the Burger King.
Correct.
So it's just one thing after, and remember, he stood on the table in the student union, yelled the sexually explicit internet meme, remember that?
Yes.
And he got suspended for a half for that, and then he allegedly, according to the committee, lied to the school committee, and they said, well, then you're gone for a whole game. So it's those are 4 incidents while he was still a student at Florida State that were not involving with the sexual assault. Yeah.
And then you get back to this.
Yeah.
You allowed yourself to be even the allegation would again arise. Skip, let me tell you something, and here's the personal conduct. It says violations involving assault, battery, domestic violence, sexual assault will result in a baseline 6-game suspension without pay. If more aggravating factors are present, such as use of a weapon or crime against a child, it moves upwards. Okay. So if the baseline is 6, how do we get to 3?
You got me. That's my #1 question about this whole incident. I don't know.
Skip, I'm speaking from experience. A very similar situation happened to me in 2010. Yeah. Someone accused me of something. I said, God, if you get me out of this situation, I promise you I'll never, ever put myself in that situation again. I refuse to that very day. Since 2010, Skip Bayless, I have never, ever ridden the elevator with a single female.
Okay.
When servers come to bring my hotel room, it is a female. Yep. I stop her at the door, I take the plate and bring it inside.
Yep.
Never, ever am I putting myself in that situation again.
Okay.
Jameis, why? How would you do that? Bro, do you realize how big of a break you got at Florida State? Okay, he said, she said. But I tell you what, there'll never be another chance where it can be she said, he said. Bro, you do something like this, man. Come on, Jameis.
Okay, just for the record, just to be fair, Jameis's side of the he said, she said in this case is that he says he was in the back seat with his former FSU teammate Ronald Darby, and that some unidentified friend of theirs was in the front seat next to her and groped her. Ronald Darby has seconded that. He has validated that and defended Jameis and said, yes, we were in the back seat. So we have several he's versus she said.
Well, who's that person in the front seat? Y'all need to get him to come forward.
We need to, and unfortunately, they were going through a drive-through at a fast food Mexican place, and so there's no video of it. So we're back to what does all this mean? And by the way, Adam Schefter reported that a month ago, multiple sources told him they did not expect Winston to be disciplined over this Uber incident in Arizona. So what changed? Well, it sounds to me like, once again, the NFL has created a bad look to avoid a bad look.
Right.
Because this was starting to shape up as a bad look because of all of Jameis's past. It started to look like, we need to suspend, we need to punish him just to show that we did something to a guy who has a track record.
Hell, I forgot about it, Skip. They brought it back up. I had forgot about this incident.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people hadn't forgotten about it. So all of a sudden, we're right back to where we were with the Ezekiel Elliott case.
Right.
And I'm going to remind everyone, Kia Roberts was then the director of investigations for the National Football League.
Right.
She has a background similar to yours. And Kia Roberts was the only member of the NFL front office who interviewed Ezekiel Elliott's accuser multiple times.
Correct.
She was the only one to interview her at all.
Right.
And she recommended no suspension. Then, obviously, she even chose to testify at his appeals hearing.
Right.
I recommended no suspension. They suspended him for the baseline 6 games.
Right.
Lisa Friel was her boss, and then obviously Roger Goodell is above Lisa Friel,
Right.
and they opted to go in a different direction.
Correct.
Kia Roberts is no longer with the NFL. No surprise to me.
No surprise.
Well, okay. So, again, that was a he said, she said. But the baseline is 6 games. And I kept saying, you can't appeal that. You can't have a degree of domestic violence.
No.
It's either 6 games or, to me,
Six or nothing.
I kept saying last year, and I'm a Cowboy fan, but if you can show me and prove to me conclusively that Ezekiel Elliott hit that woman, he should be gone for at least a year.
Right.
Okay? So, again, 6 games is 6 games, but now we have a degree of sexual assault that's only 3 games. I don't know how you... It's all for appearances, like, oh, we have to do something, right? We got to show that we did something here because Jameis has baggage, right? Is that how you see it?
100%, Skip. So here's the thing, right? There's the court of law. It's got rules of evidence around it, real high burdens of proof. Then you've got the court of public opinion, what it looks like.
Right.
Then there's this third bucket, which you're really alluding to right now, Skip, which is NFL policy. And that's a whole nother can of worms. When I look at this, y'all, a court of law, you know, it fails to meet the standard. That's why there's no conviction. That's probably why Kia Roberts recommended no suspension, because the evidence was thin. The story of the complaint was inconsistent. Let's fast forward to the current case in this Uber situation. This alleged victim did not file a police report, complained to Uber, didn't file a report. Why the 3-game suspension, y'all? It's what we call kind of a compromise in the law. That's what it is. When they're short of the factual evidence to get to this conclusion that this man and most Americans would require for a 6-game suspension or a year suspension, proof beyond a reasonable doubt, something conclusive. I fully believe this person did what they were accused of. When you're short of that, y'all, you start compromising.
Right.
That's what I see here. I see an NFL policy that's not real clear about what its real intention is. Are you punishing behavior that's been proven? Or are you punishing based on public opinion, perception of the league, and who makes up the league? That's what I see here. I really see the NFL making a bad situation worse. I agree with you there, Skip, because, listen, we don't know whether or not Jameis did this or not. What we do know is that the evidence is not overwhelming to get to a point of legal conclusion, but the NFL feels the need to do something, thus the 3-game suspension. Y'all, I feel that this policy that you read, Shannon, is going to get the NFL in a bad situation. I think they've got to get clarity around the threshold of proof required before they take action against their players.
Well, see, what happened is that what the NFL was doing, they were sitting back and letting the courts do its due diligence. And whatever happens, the court is right. Okay, the court was saying, okay, nothing here. Fans were in an uproar. You're the NFL. You don't have to listen to the courts. Okay, so now they say, Commissioner Goodell said, we got a new policy. We will do our own due diligence, and regardless of whatever the courts find, we can assess our own punishment. Well, that's not right. Well, so now what do we do, Skip? If the court says nothing happens, you don't have to listen to the court. Do something. If the court says something happens, what?
But shouldn't they listen to themselves, though, Shannon? When you've got your own investigator who's doing the interviews that should be giving you the kind of conclusionary evidence you need to make a decision. I get that. I'm good with that. But then when you don't listen to your own investigative arm, it becomes a muddier issue.
We know that the NFL is reactionary, Skip. This is why they came up with these policies. With the Ray Rice and the Adrian Peterson situation and the Hardys, they had no policy in place.
Nope.
So this is what you get. But the fact of the matter is, okay, and I agree, we don't know, but I'm saying, Jameis, you know who you are. Your friends know what you've been allegedly accused of. So everybody got to keep their hands in their lap and so make sure don't nobody know who did what.
I agree.
Come on, man.
Yep. And by the way, I should have said this before I handed the ball to you, but Ebony, for those who don't know, has a law degree and served as a public defender, so she knows the score.
I do. And you know what I would tell my clients, Skip, to that point? It's what you said, Shannon, what you experienced. There's what you do, there's what you don't do, there's what you do to make sure it doesn't look like you did anything.
Exactly.
And it adds value. And I understand that doesn't seem fair, right?
No.
Our sense of fairness doesn't feel like people should be accountable for what it looks like. But the reality is you are. And when you've got in his case and Winston's case here a couple of different elements that are reoccurring, that court of opinion starts to be really swayed.
Why do similar incidences follows this guy, Skip? Of all the things, now think about it. People are going to say, well, hold on. Something like that happened over here. Something like that happened over there. Something like that. Okay, there's three somethings, but there's one common denominator in all those somethings.
And I hate to bring this up because I just hate to pile on, but back in February 2017, we did a topic on it right here on Undisputed. Remember, Jameis spoke at the elementary school?
Right.
And he said to the boys, he said, you're supposed to be strong and the ladies are supposed to be silent, polite, and gentle. And it did not sit well with a whole lot of people. It was just another bad look. The NFL is about image is reality.
Correct.
It's everything in the NFL. So image is wrong in their eyes to the point they feel like they have to do something to punish. Even though I don't know what happened in that car.
Right.
You don't know.
No.
None of us do.
Really, in the end, only two people probably really know what happened in that car. So I don't know. Was he wrongfully accused? I have no idea. But it looks bad. To your point, you just can't even remotely put yourself in position to be wrongfully accused, right?
Nope. Nope, not going to happen.
And it's important to note, just real quick, Zip, in the court of law, what we do to prevent that kind of thing where what you did in the past might not make you guilty of what you're accused of today. We got all these evidence rules, right? And judges and juries decide what comes in and out. That ain't how it works in the NFL policy office. Right. Okay? All that bad accusation, it weighs against you.
Because you can go Google it.
Yeah.
Also, in 2014, he was accused. In 2016, so yeah, and evidence now that might taint the jury. You know, that might taint the jury pool if they hear you done something very similar to this. But I just can't believe that Jameis would allow himself to be placed in a situation. Man, bro, God.
So on a personal account, I've always liked Jameis. I've always rooted for him. I tried to I'm not saying overlook, but to push aside all that happened at Florida State. I went ahead and campaigned for him to be the first overall pick. I thought he deserved to be. I think he can be a great leader of men on the football level. I think he's a big-time clutch player in moments. He tries to do a lot of things to get him in trouble, tries to do too much. But there's so much of a preponderance of evidence against Jameis now. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper to where I'm close to being out, where I'm starting to say, wait a second, I just can't defend him anymore.
And that's the standard that the NFL uses. Preponderance of the evidence. More probable than not. Not beyond a reasonable doubt, because that's what the court system actually used. But the NFL says, if it's more probable than not that you did this. So, Jameis, you just put yourself in a bad situation. Now everybody's going to jump back to, you know what, I knew it. I knew he had did that in 2014, 20. I knew it. And that's what you get now.
That is correct.
The narrative is run away at this point, and it's ultra negative. But I do think the league's got to get clear with itself, because that 3-game suspension, that compromising off of its own position, is a problem.
Yes, it's almost like, Skip, okay, this is what we'll do, Jameis. We won't give you the full 6 games. We'll give you the 3, but you can't appeal. But then
I think they already let him appeal. I think they negotiated to your point.
And that's the thing, though. But people start reading like, hold on, you said it was 6 to start with. You can't say, Skip, okay, if a touchdown is 6, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give you 4 for the touchdown. Hold on, you already said if I score a touchdown in 6 points, how all of a sudden I get 4?
Especially when the touchdown involves domestic violence or sexual assault.
Thank you.
Correct.
So one quick point, just back on the football field. So now it appears Jameis will miss the first 3 games, and all 3 are against last year's division winners. That's not good.
No.
They're trying to rebound, get back on track. No good.
They haven't picked up his option yet, have they?
I'm sure they're
Skip, all that weighs in. You got to factor all that in.
I know.
His head coach is on the hot seat. So now you put a lot of people, not only your career in jeopardy, you put other people's lives at risk because they put their trust and faith in you, Jameis. Jameis, you got to wake up, bro. You got to wake up. You got to do better than this.
Well said. All right, next up, Luka Doncic and Trae Young were both drafted in the top 5 last night, and then traded for each other. Now, Doncic was taken third by the Hawks, but then moved to the Mavs for Young, who was picked fifth overall. Jada, were you surprised to see Trae Young taken at fifth?
I was extremely shocked that he went that high. Skip, I thought he'd go to the Knicks because the Knicks need box office. And when you play in that, especially when you play in these storied buildings,
Yep.
Madison Square Garden, or where it used to be the former